Welcome back to the Edgewell podcast and to our Generation series. Today, you are joining us for the second half of Teaching in Your 50s, and we will be talking to our amazing guest, Cheryle Harrison, who we work with and who we have learned from and who we have watched and just been in awe of. In today's episode, we are going to focus on our last topic, which is family and life beyond the classroom. Let's dive into the well. Welcome to the Edgewell Podcast, a show created for, by, and with teachers. I'm Alex.
And I'm Chelsea. Our goal is to share insights and connect with fellow teachers on how to thrive, both personally and professionally.
Join us as we dive deep into the well of information filled with relatable tips, practical discussions, and ideas that go way beyond the classroom walls. Let's be well
and do well together.
Before we start this episode, please note that there is a special guest snoring in the background, having a sleep at Cheryle's feet. Welcome, Cheryle. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, Alex.
So I'm pretty excited about this. Our conversation has been very rich about the topics, and we just did not have time to fit it all in. So here we have our part 2. And I've been thinking about, because I know you take on so much, how do you juggle the responsibilities when you're in that last decade of teaching, when your kids are hitting a certain age and likely parents are hitting a certain age? How do you manage all of that, the home and work responsibilities?
That's a hard one because I want to do well on everything, right? But I think on different days at different times, certain things come first. So some days it might be your kids come first. Some days it might be your parents come first. Some days it might be work comes first. But everybody that is part of your world needs to know that those things are constantly changing. And if you have a rough day at school, those things might come first. Like you have marking and lessons to do, or you're just busy with sports that you coach. Those things need to come first. And some days your kids need to come first. But I think sharing with the benefit of teaching in the intermediate model is those kids understand it and they get it. And I know the other day I was worried because my daughter was traveling, and I shared that with the kids. I said, this is what I'm worried about. She's going to be texting me. You're going to hear probably my phone go off, which I don't really like to have. But and then the next day they came back to school and one of them was like, hey, Mrs. Harrison, did your daughter make it? Like, I know you were really worried about it. Did she get there? How's it going? So they know that you're a real person too. Does that make sense? And you have other things that sometimes they're coming first and sometimes your own kids are coming first.
Do you find that when you communicate with the different groups that depend on you, let's say you communicate with your kids that school is really busy, or you communicate with school that right now home is really hard, do you find that that is something that you do, or are you one to kind of keep it all to yourself and, not share?
No, I think I'm an oversharer.
Well, all right. Okay.
Because even at school, right? So if I'm having a few brain moments, right, where I forget where I put my things. And just kids at school, I'm like, look at, I've got track going on right now and it's super busy trying to get everything organized. And I think the kids can appreciate that. And they understand that, you're busy, but you're busy doing things for them. And so if you forget something for a moment, like where you put your photocopies, they understand that. And they can get behind that. And they see that you're a real person, and that if they're having struggles and they're having an issue, like they didn't get their homework done last night because maybe their friend was having an issue and they needed to spend time talking to that friend. They know that you'll be understanding because they understand that sometimes you have those same issues.
I agree. I mean, ultimately, you are that leader of that classroom, and it is okay as a leader to show vulnerability. I think it's important for our students to see that. It also gives them a chance to show that they are supportive as well.
Yeah, like sometimes you feel overwhelmed by everything that's going on, and they feel overwhelmed. Or you're anxious about something. And I think that's a big one for students nowadays is they have anxious feelings about things. But if they know that their trusted adult also experiences these things, then they don't feel like that they can't do it or that it's a bad thing or that they shouldn't be feeling this way.
So, in listening to your answer and in listening to Chelsea's answer too, I mean, after so many cycles of teaching and grading and report card crunch times, how do you stay so fresh and so hopeful? Because Cheryle, you do have a really youthful, vibrant, excited to be teaching energy. How do you maintain that?
This is going to sound corny.
Great.
We love corny. We dig into the well every week, every second week. We dig into the well and we get a little corny too. That's okay.
We get a lot corny.
A lot. But you know what? Like I love my job. I don't love all the things that go along with it, but I love being in my classroom. I love being with the students. It's always new students. And when you've worked really hard and that struggling student finally gets it, you're like, yes. Or just like your students that are doing well and they just continue to do well all the time. I don't know. I like those things. And I like, you come back to school and the kids are like, oh, what did you do on the weekend? And they want to talk about things that are different from school, like that are in your own life. So I think that's good. And when you hear, you run into parents and you hear them, oh, my kid loves being in your class. I had kids in the neighborhood that were having a lemonade stand. And so I live in a neighborhood where a lot of the kids live and they know where I live. And they came over, they brought the lemonade. They're like, oh, here, we brought you lemonade, which was pretty good. So
That's great.
Those things, you're making a difference, and that making the difference that they're going to remember makes you want to keep doing those things. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And we get a fresh batch of students every single year. And although, like you had said earlier on the last episode, kids are kids from K to 8, you do see the same kind of personalities and you become well versed in how to handle certain personalities and situations. However, you get different combinations, you get different inspiration, and there's different situations from year to year to year. And it does keep things fresh. So I'm wondering with that, of all of your teaching decades, yes, I said decades, which one have you enjoyed the most and why?
Well, I have two.
Okay, we'll allow it.
I have two. So I have to say that I really enjoyed my 20s, even though I was brand new, but I was brand new and I was excited because I've always wanted to be a teacher. That was my goal. So I was very excited to be there. And even though, you not necessarily know what you're doing the whole time, that one was good. I have to say that this last one right now is pretty good because you have lots of years of experience behind you. So you don't get as many questions about what you're doing or why you're doing it because people trust that you have a good head on your shoulders and you've been there, done that, and have the years to prove it. My kids are also grown right now, so there's not as many outside commitments for me. So I'm not running to sporting events like I had been in the past. And so that's a big part of it. And the fact that it's okay, that your curriculum is going to get done. And if, you just have a day where, like yesterday, I had 7 kids because it was track and field. So most of my kids from that one class were at track and field. So we played a math game instead of writing the test. I don't know in my younger years if I would have just been like, okay, this is what we're going to do and change on the fly. So it's going to get done, but some days it's not necessarily the day to do it.
Yeah, you just become that much more comfortable, which makes the job that much better and that much more enjoyable. I really like what you said there. We did talk about that confidence going in your 20s and how you're so excited and you want to try everything and you don't know everything. And that's really a good thing. It really helps you to learn and it helps you to take those risks. I'm going to add a question to that one. Which decade was the hardest for you?
Ooh.
I would say probably the 30s and 40s.
Yep.
like kind of
That's what I would say too.
in between, because you're still trying to set a good example at school and be a good employee, but you also have those outside of school commitments, and your kids are little, and you need to have a good backup because it's so hard to balance everything. And I have to say, like, my parents were there all the time. Whatever we needed, the kids were sick, they needed to be picked up at school, they were there to pick them up and to do that, which made it so much easier. But balancing all of your children's sports commitments and your work commitments and just finding time for everybody and then finding time for yourself in there. So I say those years were probably the hardest to be balancing everybody out.
Do you find that made this decade right now sweeter because you experienced such challenging times with time commitments?
I think so, because you have school now and then you have your out of school life, which is more or less your own now. I mean, my kids are big, but not super big. They still live at home. So we still have commitments there, but it's just not as many, and it's not running to every single game and every single practice because we're past that portion of kid commitments.
Okay, and in this stage of your life, Cheryle, now that you're there, now that your kids are very independent and they're pretty much on their own, what actionable tips can you share for teachers who are in that space as well, who are preparing for retirement?
Retirement workshops.
Ah,
Go to your retirement workshop. So I've gone to 3 of them in the past. So 2 put on by the association, and then one, a little bit different one that dealt more with like your benefits and things like that. Go so that you are knowledgeable about what is going to happen and when is your best time to leave, and just questions that you wouldn't have thought about that you learn about when you go there. Like, everybody says, well, your retirement date is this. Okay, so mine is like April 1st of a particular year. Well, when I was at the workshop, information suggests that would definitely not be the best day to go. The best day to go would be at the end of that month, not at the beginning of that month. But you learn when you're there, right? To set a plan so that you know. But I mean, let's be honest. I'm not going in the middle of the year. I know that.
of course.
I will say that, and I can't go till June because I can't see my kids.
And how do you feel about this upcoming stage of life? Like, how are you personally preparing for it? What else are you doing?
I'm pretty excited about this stage. Like, I feel, very confident in my job. I'm excited that things are changing. How am I preparing? Exercise, lots of exercise. So I would say that is something that I have maintained throughout the course of my career, but has experienced ebbs and flows. So early on, it's very good. When you start adding your own kids to the mix and their sports commitments and different things like that, and aging parents, that kind of goes out the window and you have less time. And then as your kids grow, you can bring that back. But I think exercise has always been important throughout the whole career because there's a lot of stressors in education that you need to deal with, and that helps.
I love that. I'm inspired because I'm in those stages that you're talking about right now. And sometimes, like I said before, I'm just too tired to do anything. I have too much on my mind and my body hurts. So I'm excited to really get more focus on that.
Yes. I was always an early person to be at school. And I find that particularly this year, and not that I'm not early, and I have a particular time that means I'm late, which is not really late, but my planning time has changed. So it's usually first period. So I'm like, well, I can come to school now at 10 after 8, and I don't have to be to school at 7:45. So I'm going to exercise in the morning. And I know that that's something that I would not have done in the past.
And that little time shift is such a changer because it guarantees that you get it done and you're not waiting till you're tired, which is amazing because you're getting it in. And I'm going to just swing back to what you said about that you've been consistent, and sometimes it's had to go out the window for a bit. But I am a firm believer that, the way that we live now is going to help dictate the way that we live later. And so that is something that I'm really putting focus on right now myself, is that I want to be healthy now so I can enjoy, but also so that into my retirement, I am able to enjoy it. I'll enjoy the time that I'm going to have. I really want to enjoy it. I want to throw out a little tip that I've learned. I created this tip. I don't think I've heard anybody else say this, so I'm coining it. But as a teacher, you can use summer as a practice for retirement. It is 2 months off, and you get a little window into what happens to you in that time frame. And I know for me in the summer, I start to think differently. I start to act differently. I become a more relaxed person, and I get in touch with some of my creative sides in a much more robust way. And so I would like people to turn their minds to that, just that those summer breaks are little windows of practice for how you're going to be when you retire. So, and I'm appreciative of those. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to say, I agree with everything that both of you just said. First of all, your basket's always going to have something in it. So start small if you can. And that goes along with exercising or just anything that you really want for yourself. Like we keep saying, stop wishing in that well, stop thinking about it, and take that action. So with that great advice from Cheryle and Alex, we're going to get into the takeaways for this episode. So let's put Cheryle on the spot right now. Cheryle, what is your best advice for sustainability in teaching?
A balance. And I know that I have a really hard time with that one too, but balancing. And sometimes it's okay if work comes first, and sometimes it's okay if work comes last. And colleagues. So with friends. And sometimes when you have a really bad day, you need to go and find somebody else to chat about it and talk about it. And turns out they probably had a bad day too. Or when you have good things, so you have to find a partner or some partners, small group that you can chat to and talk about teaching, because not everybody gets it.
All right. How about this takeaway? Best advice for caring for family while working.
They have to come first most times. And when you are the young teacher and you have young kids, and it's so hard, take those personal days so that you can go to the kindergarten Mother's Day and kindergarten's Father's Day and those special days, because they're only there for 2 years and it won't last long. So even though as teachers seem to have that guilty feeling that we can't do that we can't be there, take those days.
And how about caring for yourself while working? What do you do?
Set a limit. If you're marking tests, okay, I'm going to mark tests till 9:00. That's it. After that, put it away.
You can't sacrifice your well-being, your health, your sleep for a few tests. You'll get them done.
Yep, it always gets done.
And eat lunch with your colleagues. Eat lunch. You need to get out of your room and have a break, right? The kids like to socialize, and you need to socialize too.
I kind of feel like we've been doing that right now on this lovely day. I feel like we're sitting outside, a round of wealth of information, and we've, shared some tea and some coffee and some treats. But most importantly, we've had rich conversation that has filled my knowledge and kind of helped to guide how I'm going to structure my path moving forward. This is where I get corny.
I thought you were going to say it has filled your well, but you didn't.
I should have said
disappointed in you, Alex.
We were sitting around the well, and I didn't want to double dip into the well because we've had such, a wealthy conversation. I didn't want to get too deep into it. So
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry I disappointed you, Chelsea. Thank you. All right. Well, I don't even want this conversation to end, but alas, we have come to the end. So Cheryle, from the bottom of our hearts, I want to thank you. We want to thank you for the growth, the grounding, the insights, the grace in which you have shared all of these amazing little tidbits and insights, because I know that both Chelsea and I are going to use those moving forward. And we are really hoping that our listeners will take these tips and use them to pave the road forward for their present and their future self and beyond. Thank you so much for being here, Cheryle.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Eduwell podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave a positive review. It helps others to find us.
Follow us on Instagram and Pinterest to help spread the word. For more inspiration, tips, and book recommendations, just head to the show notes and join the Eduwell newsletter today. Until next time, be well
and do well.